What do you eat when you walk into your kitchen and there's almost nothing left? No real food, no proper meal. Just a few scraps, a couple of cans, and whatever you can still piece together. There were times when people made meals like this, in moments when there was no real choice left, when there was no money, when going to the store wasn't possible, and when even thinking about cooking felt like too much. So what did people actually eat when this was all they had left? Here are 10 meals people made when life stopped going the way it was supposed to, when money ran out faster than it should, when days started to feel heavier and everything took more effort than it used to, when there were people to feed, but not enough to give them. Some of these meals will feel uncomfortable to look at, not because they're strange, but because of how little they are. This wasn't food made for balance. It wasn't made to be good. It was made to be enough. So let's start with number 10. Number 10, cornmeal porridge. This was the kind of meal people made when there was almost nothing left to work with. No meat, no vegetables, nothing to build a real meal around. Just cornmeal and water. The cornmeal was poured slowly into boiling water, stirred constantly so it wouldn't clump. If you stopped, even for a moment, it would stick, burn, or turn into something unusable. So you kept stirring, minute after minute, until it thickened into a heavy, dense paste. No flavor, no texture, nothing to look forward to, just something warm that could fill the stomach for a few hours. This wasn't something people chose to eat. It was what was left when almost everything else was gone. Number 9, vegetable scrap soup. This was the kind of meal you made when throwing anything away wasn't an option, not because you were careful, but because you couldn't afford not to use it. Peels, ends, bits left behind from other meals, carrot skins cut into thin strips, potato peelings still carrying a little flesh on them, onion ends sliced as thin as possible so nothing was wasted. Everything went into one pot with water. No broth, nothing extra to build it up, just heat and time. As it simmered, the water slowly changed, taking on whatever it could from what was left. The pieces softened, broke apart, and turned into something that felt closer to a meal than it had any right to be. This wasn't about making something good. It was about making sure that even what most people would throw away still ended up on the table. Number 8, soft mashed potatoes. This was the kind of meal people made when eating itself became difficult. Not because there wasn't food, but because the body couldn't handle it the way it used to. Potatoes were boiled longer than usual, not just until soft, but until they started falling apart on their own. Then they were mashed slowly, not whipped, not made perfectly smooth, just pressed down with a fork or a spoon, breaking into a soft, uneven mixture. A little liquid was added, milk, broth, or just water, whatever was there. Enough to loosen it, enough to make it easier to swallow. No chewing, no effort. Just simple hot food that could actually be eaten. And in many homes, this wasn't just for adults. When there was a child to feed and nothing else that was soft enough, this was what they made. Something gentle enough to eat when there weren't many other options. Here's the part most people don't think about. These meals weren't just about food. They were about everything happening around it. about kitchens that got quieter over time, about tables that used to have more people at them and now didn't, about trying to make something when you didn't have the energy to stand there for long, or when you had someone else to take care of before you could even think about yourself. These weren't recipes you planned. They were things you made because you had to. Because skipping a meal wasn't always an option, and neither was doing something complicated. And when you look at these dishes now, they don't just tell you what people ate. They tell you what their lives looked like. Number 7, flour gravy. This was the kind of meal people made when even basic ingredients were gone. No meat, no vegetables, not even enough to build something simple. Just flour and water. The flour was mixed slowly into the pan, stirred until it thickened into a pale, heavy liquid. No real texture, no real substance. Just something that could be poured over bread to make it feel like more than it was. It didn't look like a meal. It didn't feel like one either. But it was something you could put on the table when there was almost nothing left to put there. Number 6, split pea soup. This was the kind of meal that fit around everything else. It didn't ask for your full attention. It didn't interrupt the rest of your day. You put it on the stove, and then you moved on. Laundry, children, work that didn't wait. The pot stayed there in the background, slowly changing on its own. The peas softened, breaking down into a thick, steady mixture. You came back to it when you could, stirred it once, then left again. This wasn't about timing things perfectly. It was about having something cooking while everything else in life kept going. Number 5, corn chowder. This was the kind of meal that looked like more than it really was. At first glance, it seemed full, thick, almost rich. A can of corn, both whole kernels and creamed, poured into a pot with a diced potato and a little milk. As it heated, everything blended together. The creamed corn thickened the base, while the whole kernels stayed visible, giving the impression of something substantial. The potato softened into small, uneven pieces, adding just enough body to the texture. From the outside, it looked complete, like something that took effort, like something that had more behind it. But in reality, it came together from very little, and that was enough to make it feel like a proper meal. Number 4, oatmeal. This wasn't always something people made for themselves. This was something you made when you had to feed someone else first, especially children. A handful of oats, water, or a little milk if there was any. Cooked slowly, stirred until it softened into a thick, smooth mixture. Nothing sharp, nothing difficult to eat. Just something steady that could be eaten without struggle. It didn't look like much, but it was something you could put in front of someone and know they would be okay for a while. And sometimes, that was all that mattered. Number 3, black-eyed peas. For a long time, this wasn't something people chose. It was something they relied on because it was simple, filling, and lasted. A pot of black-eyed peas, cooked slowly with whatever small additions were available. Maybe a bit of onion, maybe something smoked if there was any. But even without it, it still worked. They softened into a thick, steady dish that could be eaten day after day. Today, people talk about it as tradition, as something meaningful. But for many, it started as something much more practical, something that stayed in the kitchen because it always made sense to keep it there. Number 2. Navy bean soup. This was the kind of meal that stayed even when everything else changed. There are stories of people who made this the same way, on the same day of the week, for years. Not because they had to, but because at some point, it became part of their life. A pot of navy beans, left to simmer slowly on the stove. The beans softening over time, some breaking apart, thickening the broth without anything added. An onion cut simply, maybe a bit of celery if it was there. Nothing precise, nothing measured. Just a process that didn't change. You started it early in the day. You let it sit. And by evening, it was ready. And even if the house felt quieter, even if the table had fewer people at it, this part stayed the same. Number 1. Bread and milk. This was one of the simplest things people made, and one of the most personal. A piece of bread, torn by hand into a bowl. Warm milk poured over it slowly, softening it until it could barely hold its shape. No cooking, no preparation, just something put together in a quiet moment. This was often eaten alone, at the end of the day, in a kitchen that had already gone quiet. It didn't try to be anything more than it was, but it was familiar. And sometimes, familiar was enough. So now I'm really curious. Which of these have you seen before? Maybe something like this was made in your home. Something your parents cooked without even thinking about it. Or something your grandparents made again and again. Or maybe you still make meals like this today. Not because you have to, but because they stayed with you. Because they're simple, familiar. Because they remind you of something. Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video made you think or remember something you hadn't in a long time, subscribe. There's more like this. Thanks for watching.